Hello guys, welcome back to another chess video. Today we're playing a 10-minute rapid game on chess.com. My rating is around 1,290 and let's see what happens in this game. All right, the game begins. My opponent starts with pawn to e4. This is the most common opening move in chess. It controls the center and opens lines for the queen and bishop. Since I'm a Caro-Kann player, I'm immediately responding with pawn to c6. The idea is very simple. I want to play pawn to d5 next and challenge white's center in a solid way. Now white plays pawn to d4, a strong center from my opponent. I'm continuing with pawn to d5. Now we're fighting directly for central control. White develops the knight to c3. This supports the center and develops a piece naturally. I'm taking the pawn on e4. I don't want white to keep a big center for free. White recaptures with knight takes e4. The knight is now centralized, but I'm going to challenge it immediately. Knight to f6. I'm attacking the knight and asking white how he wants to react. Interesting. White decides to exchange. Knight takes f6 check. I'm recapturing with pawn takes f6. Yes, I get doubled pawns, but I also get the bishop pair and some useful open lines. White develops with knight to f3, a very natural move. I'm bringing my bishop to g4. The bishop becomes active immediately and puts pressure on the knight. White plays pawn to h3. He's asking my bishop where it wants to go. After thinking about it, I decide to exchange. Bishop takes f3. I remove an active knight and simplify the position a little. White recaptures with queen, takes f3. And wait a minute. I immediately notice that the pawn on d4 is hanging, so I'm taking it. Queen takes d4. A free central pawn is always welcome. White attacks my queen with queen to e3. Instead of retreating, I'm playing queen to e5. I don't mind exchanging queens because I'm already a pawn up. White develops the bishop to c4. The bishop is aiming toward my king side. I'm developing my bishop to c5. Now both bishops are active. White plays queen to e2. And honestly, I'm very comfortable here. My position is solid and I'm still a pawn ahead. White exchanges queens. Queen takes e5. I'm recapturing with pawn takes e5. Now the queens are off the board. We're entering a middle game where piece activity is going to be very important. I'm castling kingside. King safety first. White castles as well. Both kings are safe now. White develops the bishop to d2. A quiet, improving move. I'm bringing my knight to d7. The knight is heading toward more active squares. White moves the bishop to b3. The bishop keeps an eye on important diagonals. I'm playing pawn to a5. I want some queenside space, and I don't want white expanding too easily. White responds with pawn to a4. Okay, now the queenside structure is becoming fixed. I'm jumping with my knight to d5. This is a strong central square. White centralizes the rook with rook to e1. A good move. I'm matching it with rook to e8. My rook belongs in the center too. White brings the other rook to d1. Both rooks are now active. I'm moving my knight to b4. From here, the knight can create pressure and look for tactical opportunities. White develops the bishop to c3. The bishop becomes more active. I'm playing bishop to d4. I really like this square. The bishop is centralized and putting pressure on both sides of the board. White decides to exchange. Bishop takes d4. I'm recapturing with pawn takes d4. Now I have a central passed pawn and active pieces. White exchanges rooks. Rook takes e8 check. I'm recapturing with rook takes a8. The position is becoming simpler, and that's usually good when you're slightly ahead. White plays rook takes d4. The rook becomes active. I'm playing pawn to h6, just giving my king some breathing room and preventing any back rank issues later. White improves the king with king to f1. A sensible move. I'm moving my king to h7. No need to rush. I'm improving my position step by step. And now white surprises me a little. Bishop takes f7. He's grabbing a pawn and becoming active. but I immediately notice a tactical opportunity. Knight takes c2. This is a very strong move. The knight attacks important squares and starts creating threats around the white king. White plays rook to d6. The rook becomes active, but now I'm calculating very carefully. I look at the position for a few seconds, and suddenly I see it. The first rank is weak. My rook has access to the back rank. So I play rook to a 1 checkmate, and that's game over. The king has no escape squares, no piece can block the check, and no piece can capture the rook. A beautiful checkmate to finish the game. This is one of the reasons I enjoy playing the Caro-Kann. The opening stays solid, the position remains healthy, and if your opponent makes one tactical mistake, your pieces can suddenly become very dangerous. A nice win.